In the less developed countries, non-industrialized countries, only 1% of trade turnover is represented by cultural goods and services. Then during this time, during pandemic, this era of rapid digitalization. So let us try to assume or make assumptions, in regards to future development of trade in cultural goods and services. So the government policies for promotion and protection and the safeguarding the diversity, there has to be streamlined policies. And because it's not a policy priority for the agency in charge, but it's a cross-cutting issue. Only when this coordination is done, when these synergies are done, then we can expect the real export of real cultural goods and products to go to external markets. Also, the trade capacity improvement in infrastructure strengthening. That is an important list on evidence, means R&D is important. For diversifying cultural goods and services exports, investments are important, means not only the capital I'm talking about, but soft investments as well in human resources, for example. And also perhaps certain sovereign support in terms of supporting the gaining new markets through more favorable pricing policies. Means that there are certain policy considerations need to be made. For exporting cultural goods and services, what is the position of the government of Mongolia, and what is the expected trend? So the generations of Mongolian government, was focusing on this issue. Example of that is the establishment of culture and art committee in 2008, which was abolished earlier. So under Altohuyuk Prime the culture, sport, tourism, the ministry was established in line with Anglo-Saxon traditions and the values, maybe. Afterwards, so also in institutional aspects, were addressed strongly or not at all. So during certain periods of governance, and but recognizing the institutional aspects were addressed, as we know, and also branding related efforts, attempts were made as well. And in 2014, under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they related the structure related divisions were formed. The system of cultural ambassadors was revived, for example, was initiated. And first started in In Korea, National Brand Council, which worked quite well in 2017, the very first one was organized. The Mongolia promotion program, it is Ministry of Foreign Affairs, key ministries took charge of such work, and also and also the quota-based approach, also development of policies and strategies, and the cultural agendas, national programs have been developed. And Mongolian export national program is also very relevant, containing cultural aspects. Into other development policies, as you can see, PPP policies, high technology industrialization policy, science and technology policies, etc. Other relevant policies and programs. And lastly, the Vision 2050, a long-term development policy document, for example, has a direct relevance to the issue on hand.
соёлын үйлчлэлийн бүтээгдэхүүн түүний олон улсын худалдаатай холбоотойгоор олон улсын түвшинд улс төрийн нөхцөл байдал ямар байна?
The cultural goods and services, the relevance to international trade exports, also the also importance from international cooperation, international relationship point of view. Lately, of course, there is a power shift in power balance where the U.S. dominant is replaced by multipolarity, and that shift is clearly underway, perhaps. And the legislation has faced certain challenges as well. The FTA is seen as a vehicle for promoting and protecting interest, etc. And for so certainly such concerns are now floating. The international trade regulating very many several important treaties and agreements are being dissolved. NAFTA, for example, US living processes, etc. Negotiations are not concluded still. In the regional aspects as well, Pacific region that constitutes 1/3 of global trade flow, economic partnership involving 15 different countries was just concluded. It's really mega partnership, mega mechanism, giant mechanism. Many Mongolia needs to pay attention to such development where they the supporting cultural goods and services exports. Since this century is said to be an Asian century, and the 50% mark will be breached. Might be breached in so affluent middle class ranks are bulging. In the cultural, the creative production needs are clearly increasing. In the case, the attention to such issues could be timely than ever. And lastly, it is interesting, challenging might be, but at the same time a very promising as well, interesting time. What kind of resources and possibilities we have. So we are a relatively young nation and it's a comparatively talented nation as well. Also, rich history, which we are proud of, and also quite rich cultural heritage. And Mongolia maybe was exposed to Western culture relatively early as well, and meaning internationally competitive cultural can well be developed in Mongolia. Another political advantage, geographical advantage, the Silk Road location, Eurasian, the market bridge, etc. And the Russian Federation and the proximity to big markets, nations, meaning the resources, these factors will be the predominant driving force for export-oriented cultural goods and services. Thank you very much for your attention.
За илтгэжтэй баярлалаа.
Thank you very much, the presenter. Before I proceed to the next, before inviting the next presenter, I would like to say that on the sidelines of Expo Mongolia 2020, B2B meetings are taking place. Mongolian and international businesses are meeting each other, and the participant of such B2B meetings, they were willing to provide certain feedback on these activities. Let us have this feed.
За манайха холбол техникийн асуудал болоод төрс алдсан байгаа юм. Энэ хооронд яг дараагийн илтгэгчээ бас сонсчээ. Цаг хэмнэх үү.
Looks like there is a connection issue. Let's hear from the next presenter. The head of export department of Teso Corporation in Bayar will present from mistakes to successes is the topic of his presentation. So they will be talking about their own experience.
За сонсож байна.
Аяарай хоёроо.
Презентацийн тавьд хоо. Би жоо хаач идэх хоо.
За микрофон нээгээд.
За
The division head of Teso Corporation.
Презентацийн гарах багш үү? Чому?
I will talk regardless without presentations.
Ano? 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 Сонсогч юм болоо.